is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. In another video, I showed you how to make a basic gluten-free muffin that was made with very little sweetener and very little oil, and yet it's moist and tasty. Well, I've taken that same recipe and I've doctored it up to make a cinnamon muffin out of it. Again, with very little sweetener in there and very little oil, yet it's moist and tasty. Stay with me. Alright, in this bowl I have my dry ingredients, and I'm starting with 5 ounces of a gluten-free flour blend. Use whatever blend you're preferring. It doesn't matter to me what you use. Mine does not have xanthan gum in there, and that's okay if yours does. I'm not adding xanthan gum to this recipe. It really doesn't need it. Also in here I have a ½ tablespoon of baking powder, 1/8 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 plus 1/8 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And I'm going to stir this up. Now, you want to note here that this is half the recipe. This is actually going to make about 8 muffins. And I have the whole recipe online for you that you can download at my website, handmadeinoiowa.com, and you'll see the link on the screen now. Okay, now that's all mixed up. Now what we want to do is get our liquid ingredients together. And what I've got in the bowl here are some chopped dates. And that is the heart of my sweetener for this recipe. And right now I have a 1/4 cup of chopped dates. And to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of water. Now, this is just cool tap water, and I'm adding it to there, and I'm going to put this in the microwave for 30 seconds to a minute until the dates are totally mushy. We're not going to drain off any of the water. If you don't want to use the microwave, use boiling water instead, and then stir it up and just allow it to sit until the dates are mushy. I'll be right back. Alright, you can see that my dates are really mushy, and this is exactly what I want. We did not drain off any of that water. This actually took about a minute in my microwave. To this, I'm adding 3/4 cup of unsweetened applesauce. Yes, we want unsweetened, or else you're going to change the sweetener in there and maybe add some ingredients you really don't care to add. 1 lightly beaten egg. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of a vegetable oil, and I have 2 tablespoons of almond milk that's unsweetened. Now, the oil I'm using is an extra virgin olive oil. It's a very light tasting olive oil. It does not have an olive flavor to it. You definitely want to use an oil there that does not have a strong flavor. And then I have also a 1/2 tablespoon of ground flax meal. And to that, I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now, with gluten-free baking, it works best if your ingredients are room temperature or maybe even slightly warm. And so at this point, if your ingredients, your liquid ingredients are not warm or room temperature even, you can take this mixture and pop it in the microwave very, very briefly, because you don't want to cook the eggs. 15 seconds would probably be plenty. You just want to get the chill off of it. Because my dates were still plenty warm out of the microwave, I think this is going to be fine, just like it is. And now I'm going to add my liquid ingredients to the dry mixture. And we're going to stir this up. I have not preheated the oven yet. That's part of the trick on gluten-free baking, is once you mix these things together, you do need to allow the batter to rest a little bit and let some of the liquid ingredients get soaked up by the dry ingredients. It's altogether different than baking with wheat flour. And so I'm going to just stir this up well, and then allow it to rest while my oven is preheating to 375. And then once it's preheated, then I'm going to take this batter and divide it up amongst 8 muffin cups, and then I'm going to top it with a special topping. So stay with me. We're not finished yet. I'll be back when the oven is warm. All right, my oven has been preheated and my batter's had a little bit of a rest. Now I'm going to put a topping on these muffins, and this topping is a spin-off from what I used to use in my bakery. It's a little bit different because it's gluten-free. Now what I started with is a tablespoon of millet flour. Really, you could use whatever kind of gluten-free flour you want, and you may need to add a little more, but mix it up first with this 1 tablespoon of flour, a tablespoon of brown sugar. You could use another type of sugar if you want, but I would stick with a dry sugar, not a liquid sugar. A 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a very, very small amount of butter. About 3/4 of a teaspoon. If you've got a scale, it's down to 2 grams. It's a very small amount. And then you want to melt your butter in the microwave. You can put it all in here and just stick this whole thing in the microwave briefly until the butter melts, and then just take a spoon and stir it up until you get a sandy type of texture. If it's a little bit too wet, add some more of your flour, whatever kind of gluten-free flour you choose to use, until you get something that looks like a sandy type of appearance. And then we're just going to sprinkle it lightly over the muffins. Now when I used this topping with regular flour in my bakery, I actually made twice the amount of this because in a bakery you would expect a lot of topping on there. But I'm deliberately cutting back because in this recipe we want to have as little sugar in here as possible, and it'd be difficult to make this topping without sugar, so I cut it in half. You can always double it if you really want. And now it's ready to go, except I need to add a little bit of water to the empty tins in my muffin, and this helps to absorb any heat and keeps the pan from burning up, and just helps to keep them heating at an even rate. So remember that as a little tip if you're baking muffins and you're not using all the tins, to add a little bit of water to that. Now I'm going to bake this at 375 for 18 to 20 minutes, and then we'll show you what it looks like when they're all done. My muffins have baked and they look beautiful. I'm going to leave them in the pan to cool down for 15 minutes before I take them out. Now you can see they're not huge. For this particular batter with the flours that I used, I could have made 6 muffins and they would have been a little larger. What you do, whether you make 6 or 8, is really going to depend upon how thin your batter is, and that depends upon the flour mixture that's in there. If it's a thinner batter, you're going to need to make 8. If it's a little thicker, like this was, I could have easily made 6 muffins out of it and they will be bigger, but these are nice just like they are. Give these muffins a whirl. Let me know if it works for you in the comments below. Check out my website, handmadeinoiowa.com, and also my blog, judiclea.com. This is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Have a great day.